Hey everybody, Robbie Pence here with Your Flame Tech for the second episode in our Switching to Linux series. We're going to be talking about how to find a laptop for you, how to find a computer that works with Linux. Now, out of the box, Linux is going to work with most of the hardware out there, especially if it's 2 or 3 years old. You're going to have probably excellent support with your hardware, because the Linux developer team has had time to catch up with the drivers that they typically have to make themselves, because not a lot of hardware manufacturers are releasing stuff, or if they're releasing stuff, it's buggy and needs time to mature. You'll find generally the same thing happens with Windows laptops, but it's a little bit more pronounced with Linux computers. So if you have a computer that's 2 or 3 years old, it's going to work better with Linux than one that's 1 year old, until you wait until those developers have a chance to catch up. Today we're going to be primarily talking about the ThinkPad line of laptops. ThinkPads are awesome. If you buy them new, they're going to be comparable in cost to a MacBook Pro, and probably more expensive. And you're like, wow, a computer that's more expensive than a MacBook, I can't afford that, or more expensive than a MacBook. What is this thing made of? Gold? Well, no, it's made of carbon fiber and steel. And it's got a steel roll cage inside of them, at least some of them. And the carbon fiber is flexible, light, and durable, and is less prone to cracks than a typical computer, and definitely less prone to bending and denting. Less prone, it's impossible to bend carbon fiber in the shape of a dent. Like a sizable dent anyway. If you were to go on to a tech support forum, there's one called Tech Support Gore, and the biggest thing you're going to see on there, in my experience, is dusty PCs on the inside that nobody's ever cleaned out, and 2, MacBooks that are bent in half, just bent, they roll over, or something like that. So ThinkPads are great because they're pretty durable. Not tough book durable, but ThinkPad durable enough for everyday users, and yet not as heavy as something like a Panasonic Toughbook, which can be like shot with bullets or something. It's like entirely steel. But ThinkPads are fantastic machines, and because businesses and governments and schools buy them in bulk, and then refresh all of their technology every 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years, these things flood the market and oversaturate the market. So whereas they were more expensive than a MacBook Pro used, they can be gotten. I mean, computers that are like in almost brand new condition, and you couldn't even tell half the time, 90% of the time, that they've ever been used, because of the material they use on these things is just very resistant, damage resistant. And these things can be had for like $200 or $300 for like really decent machine. The one I'm using to record this video right now, it can be had for around $200 now, and it has an i7 processor, 8 gigs of RAM. It came with a 250 gigabyte solid state drive, and a high quality one at that, and backlit keyboard. The battery lasts about 6 hours. That's something else. I mean, around $200. If you try to buy something new, what you're going to get is like a Celeron or a Pentium processor for that price, and it's probably going to be a Chromebook and maybe have 32 to 64 gigabytes of storage with 2 to 4 gigabytes of RAM. That computer is not going to last you long. Build quality is going to be garbage. It's going to fill up the storage in no time at all. You probably can't replace the storage. Probably can't upgrade the RAM. And the battery life is going to be amazing. It's going to be like 12 hours. But you're not going to be able to do much in those 12 hours because the processor is just so slow. So ThinkPads are an amazing deal. So I want to introduce you to them today. Probably going to introduce you to some other ways of buying things like desktops with a channel called OzTalksHw. And I'll probably introduce you to another YouTube channel that's ThinkPad specific typically, called AACAT Computers and Technology. And we're going to take a look at these things right now, and I'm going to also introduce you to the buying guide that I'm a maintainer of in the ThinkPad forum on Reddit, and that'll help you purchase your laptop. So let's head over to the ThinkPad forum on Reddit. Hey, how you doing, everybody? So, this is the ThinkPad forum on Reddit. It's reddit.com/r/ThinkPad. We can see that there is 41,470 people in this community, with 773 people just browsing this forum at this very moment. That's around noon and on a weekday. So, it's got a large community of people. They're all willing to help each other out. A good portion of these people are Linux users, and part of the reason for that is Linux users tend to be a little bit more do-it-yourselfers. At least they used to be. That's less the case now than ever. And ThinkPads are easy to modify and upgrade. And also, Lenovo, the company that produces ThinkPads, certifies their ThinkPads for Linux compatibility. Does the certification mean a whole lot? No, but in reality, they do work excellently with Linux, as most things do after a year or two. So, this is the ThinkPad community. You can ask questions here. I do recommend they use the search area over here to ask any questions or look for other people answering your questions before you post, however, because you might get a little bit of a backlash. People will be like, well, we've answered this hundreds of times. I personally am on here answering questions quite often, like at least 2 or 3 times a week. I'll answer a question for somebody, something along those lines, in either this forum or other tech support forums. Now, let's get into some juicy stuff right here. This is, once it loads, the Use ThinkPads buyer's guide that I maintain. And this can be found at my website, TrueFlame Tech, and the website for that is truefla.me, and that's it. And you get here, and there's just lots of stuff. This website is mostly for people who are local to me that are looking for some computer help or whatever. But if you were to go to the free stuff page, and I'm going to link all this in the description below. If you go to the free stuff page, I reference the ThinkPad Reddit forum right there. Right here. And let's see if I can get this on the screen. Right near that, I say, see here for the Use ThinkPads Buyer's Guide. And this free stuff page is also excellent because you can find tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of free software that I've just found and listed here. And all sorts of free education if you're looking to get into IT. You could teach yourself IT from the links on this page for several different fields without ever going to college. So definitely check that out if you're interested in IT. Let's go over to the ThinkPad Buyer's Guide. Alrighty, so ThinkPad Buyer's Guide. Talk about all sorts of things here. So 90% of your questions about buying a ThinkPad or buying a laptop for Linux or any other purpose, as far as, well, ThinkPads go, I guess. Maybe I expanded that too much. Is going to be answered just in the top section of this page. Yeah, questions, overview. I explain recommendations and what kind of ThinkPad you're going to want to get. Why ThinkPad. Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. But you go down a little further and we get into the meat of this guide, which is really nice. I'll just move my head over again here. Yeah, the meat of this guide. And as you can see here, we're looking at the different models, and you can figure out what you want from these reddish black sections. And they explain, hey, this is the kind of model this is what you want. And then the different prices you can expect on eBay or the like, used buying websites for the different models, and what kind of speed you can expect from each of them. And I'm going to go through these real quick here. The T-Series is a medium-sized laptop. I would consider it general purpose. These are generally pretty light, and they're just a good all-around model. If you're looking to get into ThinkPads on the cheap, this is the one to go for, probably. There are 14 and 15-inch models, as designated by the first digit after the letter T. So a 4 is a 14-inch, a 5 is a 15-inch. If you go for the 15-inch, it's going to be a lot easier to open and upgrade, and but it's going to be a lot bulkier. Like, a good bit bulkier. 15-inch laptops are no slouch. But there's some excellent 15-inch models, and because 15-inch models aren't in high demand, there's really, amazing deals on them right now. You can get one from 2014, very modern processor, sometimes with a solid-state drive, and 4 gigs of RAM, and an i5 processor, even some decent gaming compatibility there. Not amazing, but you can get that for like under 150. Like, really, really good deals on the 15-inch models. 14-inch models, all of these are incredible deals. Absolutely insane. But if you're looking for the absolute cheapest, you can go with either a T430. So the T is the medium size, 4 is the 14-inch, 3 is the 3rd generation, so 2013. And the 0 is just, it's there, it's hanging out. And that's a decent machine. But if I had to pick a laptop right now, I had to replace what I had, or just for someone, and I was going to name that for myself. I have very specific needs. Let's go to you. For you, I would recommend, unless you want to do some heavy gaming, some heavy processing, compiling, whatever, I would recommend the T450S or T450. So again, T is medium, 4, 14-inch, 5 is 5th generation. And the S, if you can leave that S on or off, doesn't matter. That just means slim. If you get an S model, it's a slimmer profile. That typically means it can be a little harder to open, a little less upgradability, and a few less ports. Doesn't really matter if you have that S on there or not. The difference is minimal. But the reason I would recommend the T450 is they fixed the trackpad on that model, and I reference this all on this page, right over to the left of my head, on why you would kind of want a T450. They're excellent machines. Now, the only thing I'm going to say about ThinkPads is probably negative this entire time, is because they're sold to businesses in bulk, a lot of these businesses don't invest a lot of money. They don't want to spend a ton of money for every single user in their company. So what are they going to do? What is the one thing they can cheap out with and get away with it? Well, 2. It's video and audio. So the displays on most ThinkPads that don't specifically say that they have a high quality screen, it's going to be garbage. It's, at least by today's standards. And it's somewhat of a lottery because with all laptops all over the world, they have different display manufacturers because manufacturers can't keep up with the demand. It's usually LG or Samsung or something. And they're all making these different panels that go into the ThinkPads. Now, what's great is if you have about 10 minutes and some confidence with a screwdriver and $60 with any of the 4th generation, 5th generation, I think 6th generation too, you can upgrade to one of the nicest screens out there on these laptops. But you don't want to do that. We're not talking about upgrades. You just want to switch to Linux. I'm even sorry for mentioning it at this point. For you, go get a T450 on eBay. Look for something that says IPS. Yes, I use sign language. I know sign language. IPS. That is in plane switching. It just means the display looks a lot better from different viewing angles. It may not seem like a big deal. Trust me. It's a big deal. Just kidding. You're going to end up spending probably around $250 if you're willing to look for one of these with an IPS model at this time. You'd find them for a little less than $300, sometimes less than $200. Again, it's still an incredible deal. We're talking about this thing is comparable to a laptop that is $700 to $800 today. It is still genuinely worth the value by an enormous amount. Try to find one with an IPS panel. It's going to make your life way better. And the battery life on the 50 series, the T450 or whatever, that generation is only from 2015, not that old. fantastic battery life, fantastic Linux compatibility. Just get one with an IPS display and do yourself a favor. There's also a touchscreen model, so you can type in touchscreen in that search too. Alright, so on to the next one. This is the one I personally prefer at the moment. The X series, I've had so many ThinkPads. So many ThinkPads. I like the X series the most at the moment for my current use case. It's what I'm using connected to a dock. And these things are 12.5 inches. Some of them have touchscreens, some are IPS, some are not, just like the above. They're quite a bit smaller, really light, excellent battery life. And they're just very, very portable machines. Like, I thought that a 12.5 inch laptop, being my primary computer, really, besides the external display, was going to be a little bit small for me. It really wasn't. When I played with one of those things, I had a T440S, which is the thin model of the 4th generation 14 inch, and it was a little big to throw in a backpack. Now, that means a lot to me because I have some disabilities, as you may have noticed, so I need something that's kind of lighter. And this is like a day bag. See how small this is? My laptop fits in there with all the tools I need for the day and everything else, and that's because it's an X series. It's 12.5. It has the ability, and my particular model, the X240, has 2 battery bays. One battery can swap in and out, and the other one stays on the laptop permanently. You can replace that one if you want to, though. And you can actually swap out the external battery with 2 buttons on the side. While the unit is on, and it'll stay on because of the internal battery. It's called Power Bridge technology. So you can literally, if you have enough batteries, get virtually endless battery life out of these things. I just have an external battery on mine. That's just what mine came configured with, and it lasts 6 hours. Now, it is the largest external battery possible, but still, I mean, that's really good. If we got an internal, it would go up to like 8 or 10 hours. So, you can find the prices and expected speed for these. There's the X Series tablet. There's an old style convertible PC where the screen swivels on a hinge. I am not a fan. I'm not a fan of these. A lot of people are, but for me it feels like it's just about to break off all the time because it's on this bitty little swivel thing. And these are still great machines. I mean, they're great. I just don't like the swivel functionality. If you do, rock on, go for it, have fun. I prefer the newer models where the screen either doesn't turn around at all or it flips over like a ThinkPad Yoga. It goes over backwards and you can rest on a table flat. And it has really nice hinges. The W series, this is going to be my next baby right here. It actually is compatible with my dock, just like my X240 is. The W series is the workstation grade models. I'm currently looking for a W540 or W541, and they're excellent. I mean, they have dedicated graphics cards if you're into gaming or need to render something. So, like, I think they have like 2 to 3 drive bays in some of them. I think 4 slots of possible RAM, so not just 2 slots like your average laptop. I mean, these suckers, they're amazing. I think some of them go up to 64 gigs of RAM. Incredible. I think it's definitely at least 32 on the newer models. Finally, there's not quite finally. There's the X1 Carbon. This is when Lenovo said, we got to modernize our brand. This is the MacBook Air equivalent. Thin, much harder to repair, but incredibly thin. And they're great machines. ThinkPad Yoga, like I said, I like this design better. Goes over back. If I had to pick any laptop, it would probably be like as my only go-to laptop, it would probably be the newest generation X380. The X is the smaller form factor, 3 is 13 inch, that's a newer thing that they just came out with. 8 is the 8th generation. And yeah, the X380 Yoga is amazing. I mean, you can plug in an external graphics card that's desktop class, and you take this thing with you wherever you go. and it'll flip right over, and it's just, oh man, it's beautiful. It does everything. Fast processors too. Alrighty, and there is another. There's a few other series out there, but I list them below and why you should or should not get them. There's the L series, which is effectively T series, but they're made of recycled plastic instead of carbon fiber, which makes them a lot cheaper. But they're still pretty good machines. There's the E series. I would stay away from those. E is the Edge line, where it's kind of like really a consumer grade laptop. Usually trash. The newer ones are okay, but you're not looking for new ones if you're watching this probably. I would go for the LTWX. Those are typically what I'd go for. If you're looking for a super powerhouse machine desktop replacement, the W series is probably what you're thinking of. If you're low on cash, say under $600, go with the W series. If you want something totally up to date, go with the P series. P as in Paul. P series is awesome and not listed on this page. Some users haven't had time to update it, but they are the replacement for the W series in the new lineup. Alrighty, so let's see how fast I can make this happen here. AACAT on YouTube. Where's the AACAT channel? That's not it. That's the wrong one. Okay. There we go. It's AA Computers and Technology, and this guy goes over ThinkPads, he reviews them. He always feels like he's trying to sell me something, but besides that, he's cool. If my computer actually loads this, that'd be cool. And yeah, AA Computers and Technology. I recommend him watching some of his videos. It's pretty handy. He's a good guy. He'll talk to you about, how to find good deals on eBay, all sorts of things, some crazy mods. That's really good stuff. It's great. It's good stuff. Alright, because my computer is taking forever to load this stuff, I'm going to actually stop trying, and I'm going to show you the other YouTube channel. And if you're thinking, wow, you're talking about Linux and talking about computers and stuff, why is your computer so slow? Well, it's the screen recording software. This computer, being it's a small size computer, and it doesn't have the latest generation processors, it can't run a screen recording software that I'm using right now to record my face, record the screen, as well as I would like. It's not meant for that. It's meant for portability. If I were to turn the screen recorder off, it would be 4 times faster. No problem. Load these videos up, no issues. The problem is I'm running screen recording software while I'm doing all this, so the computer's doing double time. So, the other YouTube channel we want to take a look at is OzTalksHw. It's called OzTalksHw. This guy is excellent. He talks about how to find a PC on eBay, desktop tower, upgrade these things. He talks about ThinkPads once in a while too. And you can legitimately have a $150 gaming PC if you so desire, if you look at his guides. Highly recommended. OzTalksHw. Highly, highly recommended. and see some of the stuff he goes on. He gets right to the point too. I mean, these videos are very well created, and I love this guy. He's probably one of my absolute favorites on YouTube as far as showing people how to get the most bang for their buck for hardware. Fantastic gentleman. Alright, well, I think that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I think I've covered it pretty well, and it's been, wow, 25 minutes. I talk way too much. Whew. Shout out to the channel Failed Normal. He likes to ramble like I do. He's a good teacher though, so hopefully I'm half as good as he is. Alright, well, thank you very much for your time. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. And keep an eye out for the next one. Let's see what we got coming up. Gonna close this. What do we got coming up? Choosing a laptop for Linux, got that one. How to install and remove software. Okay, so next is how to install and remove software. We're going to go into the complicated bits of installing software on Linux. So basically anything you're going to run into, we're going to cover within reason. We're not going to be compiling Python. I'm not going to be showing you how to build a application from source. I will be teaching you how to add PPAs, which we're going to learn what those are soon, to your system, so your software store has a wider variety of software. We're going to get into how to use the terminal a little bit, and why you would use the terminal instead of using point and click, and why that's not as scary as it sounds or looks. And we're going to be installing like things that just aren't in the software center. Tons of software in the software center, but all the stuff you use is not always there. But that doesn't mean it's hard to install. Software Center is easier to install applications than Windows by a long shot, but you can install applications like you would in Windows as well by going to an applications website like, say, Discord, Chrome, Steam, and just downloading the appropriate file. So I'll be showing you how to find the appropriate file for your Linux Mint installation, and we're going to be just going over a ton of fun stuff like that. So hope you're looking forward to it, and I'll see you next time.